Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Jump In with Jumi. I'm your host, Jumi, and today we're talking all about maintaining a healthy weight. What do we need to do to maintain a weight that's going to make us feel like our best self? That is what today's episode is all about. And our guest is one that you're going to want to listen to very closely because she is giving you all the knowledge that you can't find on Google and that she charges her clients a pretty hefty price to get outside of this setting. So if you're ready to jump into this conversation, that's amazing. I'm super excited too. Make sure you share this broadcast. Let all your friends and family know that you're watching it, and let's get started. Let me welcome our guest, Dr. Nina Chevrie Franklin. Hello, Dr. Nina.
Hi, did you really tell people I charge a lot?
Well, I mean, that information you're going to give, I'm pretty sure it's not cheap, right?
Hey, we got to pay the bills.
It is all good. Thank you so much for coming back. Last time you were here, it was absolutely amazing. We didn't touch on half the stuff that I know you were going to bring back up today. So I'm very excited that you are here. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the guests so that they know exactly what they are in store for today.
Oh, the pressure.
No pressure at all.
So, as Jimmy said, I'm Nina Chevrie Franklin, otherwise known as that salad lady. So I have a little alias that I go by. And basically, I am a healthy living coach with a whole lot of years of experience, over 20 years of experience. And I also have a little twist to my background as I spent a long stint as a scientist working in academia. So, with on one hand, I do healthy living coaching, I speak, do a range of different writings and commentary, all of the umbrella of health, fitness, and wellness. And on the other, hand, I have my new baby, which is that salad lady. Shameless plug, that saladlady.com. And basically, I put salad making at the forefront to really teach the culinary arts, mainly when it comes to healthy eating. And in teaching people how to build their salad bowl, I also teach people how to build basically different layers of wellness. So building their own life. And we're going to probably talk about that a little bit throughout this conversation, but definitely check out that saladlady.com and see what we're doing there. Great recipes, great resources, and we're adding new information and more resources every day.
And I'm super excited about that. As people know or may not know, I don't like to eat salads. I know they're healthy for you, but I've been looking at your page and I might be converted. So I'm excited about these recipes that you are bringing out. But let's jump right into the conversation and talk about maintaining a healthy weight. What exactly does that even mean? Are we focusing more on exercise? Are we focusing more on our diet? Tell us about what healthy weight means.
So I'm going to tell you, the steps to it.
Okay. Yes.
To lose weight, I know we don't want to hear it a lot, but some level of managing what you eat has to take place. Weight loss, requires eating a certain way. It really doesn't matter how many meals it is. It really doesn't matter what time you eat the meals, how small or large they are. And these days with intermittent fasting, it doesn't even matter if you eat every day. And I know that sounds really rogue, but that's me putting my scientist hat on. Right. Everything you thought you knew about weight loss is such, it's not that complicated. It's about finding
all myths today about weight loss.
It's not complicated at all. And I can honestly tell you this, whether you follow keto, paleo, WW, what they call it now, or really your own style of eating, all diets work. It's just a matter of finding something that you can stick to and actually having the flexibility to be able to know that you're going to have setbacks. We can talk about that because that is the main hindrance to weight loss, setbacks and the all or nothing thinking approach.
Okay.
Now, weight maintenance is easy. Once you lose that weight, you keep it off. That's the easy part. Watch what you eat kind of sensibly, exercise regularly. And I hate to say it, folks, exercise alone will not get you there, but it will help you stay there once you're there.
So is it one that is more important than the other, or is it a balance?
Great question. It is the balance. I think what happens is far too often when it comes to diet and weight loss and exercise, that whole cycle, we don't really think about how everything interacts. Let me give you a really quick example. I
Mhm.
think I talked about this a little bit in our last segment we did together, but let's just for simplicity's sake say that you're trying to get rid of your belly fat. All
Mhm.
right, which is what most people are trying to do, right?
Especially in
So
the
you
summer, yes.
exactly for the summer body or whatever they call it these
Right.
days. So basically, you have three different layers of something going on behind that skin of yours. You have a layer of what's called subcutaneous fat. That's the fat that's kind of everywhere. It jiggles, it dangles. That's not just on the belly fat, that's everywhere.
That's
Then you
true.
have a layer of muscle. That's what everybody is trying to crunch their, why they're trying to crunch their lives away in the gym. That's the abdominal muscle, right? That's layer
Right.
two. Then you have another layer. That's the visceral fat. That's the stuff that honestly gives you that very hard, firm belly because it's
Mm.
behind muscle. Now, that's the fat I would argue that is the most dangerous. And we're not talking about it looks bad. We're talking about it is bad
Mm.
because
Tell me more. Yeah. Why is that?
that fat has a life of its own. So whenever you hear about the health risk of obesity, what we're really saying is the health risk of having excess visceral fat. Visceral fat actually takes on a life of its own and can trigger inflammation and all sorts of processes in the body that set off disease. That's the visceral fat. And here it is, folks. Visceral fat is largely contingent on what you eat.
Visceral fat is contingent on what you eat. Okay.
That's right.
So
What you
now
eat.
let's talk about maintaining that and getting that to the right levels. What do people need to avoid? What do they need to adjust? Let's use that word, adjust.
Adjust. So I'm going to tell you one of the things we do at that salad lady when I founded it, I'm all about inclusivity. I don't believe in judgmental approaches. I don't believe in labels. And so
Mhm.
that's really some of the guiding principles behind which I founded that salad lady. So what you're not going to really hear too much of is can't and don't and shouldn't and
Mm.
those types of things because that's just not something we do. Because honestly, like I said before, if you don't want to do it, if you feel like if you feel like I'm the pastor and every Sunday you're explaining something to me, it's not going to work. It's
Mhm.
just not going to work. And so when it comes to eating, this is what I always emphasize. One, eat.
Yes. Don't starve yourself. Eat.
It's the biggest fallacy in weight loss. Like, why is the first thing we do is withhold food when we're trying to lose weight? So you definitely have to eat. And I'm not going to throw out calorie counts and talk about pulling out counters and counting points. I'm going to say be mindful of what you eat. When you're hungry, eat. Eat slow. Enjoy the food. Enjoy the experience that is eating.
So what before we go on, let's talk about the calorie part because I think that is one
Yes.
thing everybody when they're trying to maintain their weight, they're counting
Yes.
calories, they're watching this, that, and the other. What
Yes.
is it that we should know about calories, or should we just completely not pay attention to caloric intake?
I've gone phases personally. I have gone phases as a researcher. I have a personal training background, group fitness background, research background, and I'm an avid athlete myself. I have gone through phases personally where I don't count. It just depends on what works. For some
Okay.
people, A types tend to be more systematic. You like those gold stars. You like to reach that
Yeah.
milestone of saying, this is what I ate today. This is what I did today. That is perfectly fine. But if you are not that type of person and it's inconvenient for you to do it, by all means, don't do it.
Mhm.
Find a way, like I said, I brought that up before, really listening to your body and eating in a way that feels right. If you listen to your body enough, give it 2 weeks. Eat when it feels right. I'm going to
Mm.
give you a little trick that takes away the need for calorie counting. I always tell
Yeah, I
people to
told
focus.
y'all can get tricks and tips. See, that's
Yeah.
why.
I always tell people to focus on the foods they eat versus focusing on calories. You'll
Mhm.
notice that if you go, and I'm not just throwing out that salad lady, but when I tell you all, I put everything that's in here in this brand
Mhm.
because I really want people to be more confident and enjoy the eating experience. So
Absolutely.
when you're thinking about food, give yourself a mental checklist. Think about all of your shortcomings. What don't I eat enough of? What do I feel like I should eat more of? And it really isn't rocket science. The foods that promote weight loss are non-starchy vegetables. Take notes.
Take notes,
Non-starchy
y'all. Take
vegetables.
notes.
Make sure they're colorful, make sure they're vibrant. The more colorful, the more vibrant, the better they are for you, and the more they promote weight loss due to the nutrients they house. That's number one. Number two, lay low on the starches. Starchy foods do set off a cascade of things that could ultimately lead to fat storage. That's not saying you can't eat them. That's saying just pay attention to them.
What are some of the most common starchy foods that people just overindulge on?
What do you think the first one is? I'm serious. Everybody loves
Bread.
potatoes.
Yeah.
Bread, potatoes. Everyone loves, okay, I love bread. I'm like that Oprah commercial. I am. I love bread. I do. But it's one of those things I have to treat myself to. And I have to digress for a second and emphasize this. It's not that bread is bad. It's not that starches are bad. It's just everyone eats too much of everything all the time. If we could just take what looks like that serving, it's usually on a bag. You're usually warned, hey, this is a serving. Figure if you try to stay within the confines of about 4 to 6 servings, and that's it. Depending on your goals, it may be lower than that. It could be 3 to 6 or something like that. You'll be fine. But again, here's the serving. I don't want to throw that eat fresh place out of here. I don't want to kind of critique them, but I think when I say eat fresh, people know what I'm talking about. That place is a culprit of confusion. And I say it because if you get that 6-inch sandwich in that place, that's 3 to 4 servings.
Wait, now, I just said a 6-inch is 3 to 4 servings
of bread. Yes. Wow. A 6-inch.
Okay. Now,
if I just told you 4 to 6 servings, and you had a 6-inch, you just have 4 servings, right?
Yeah.
And then you say, oh, I'm going to have toast for breakfast. Oh, I'm going to have, some kind of bread with my dinner.
Yep.
That's not the starch's fault. That's your fault. You get it? And so what I generally tell people to focus on, and when I tell you, I don't want to go and throw it out there, but it's I have like a 98% success rate with this method. And I generally say, let's ignore all of this and really focus on counting the foods you eat. How many foods do you need in the form of a protein? How many foods do you need in the form of a grain? And you stay within those confines. Let me tell you 3 things that happen when you do this. 1, you eat enough. 2, you focus on variety. And 3, you're so full that you don't even want to overeat if you could. You focus on all the good stuff, and then you really don't have much room for the bad stuff. Think of it like a 80-20. And I don't even like the word bad. The stuff you think is bad. I didn't say it was bad, but you say, most of us say it's bad. Right. Think that way and say, if I could do well 80% of the time, right? 20% of the time, I can have my cookies.
Okay. Mama Lano cookies, yes.
I'm telling on you.
You are. It's okay, y'all. I have Mama Lano cookies right here. Okay.
But seriously, and really, honestly, that's the key to it. I kid you not. I am a bourbon fan, and I love my red wine. And because I spend 80% of the time focusing on the stuff that's good and that's nourishing the body, that I don't even sweat it. When I have it, I don't even sweat it. And I really want to emphasize this for a reason. You're not just eating for food and nourishment, you're eating for fuel. And not just that, some foods, many of the plant-based foods, house specific nutrients, which I talk about a lot on our website. They house specific nutrients called phytonutrients that actually promote further weight loss. I'll give you an example.
Phytonutrients promote, okay.
Fat. The one thing that most people avoid is the one thing that promotes fat loss, and that is fat, specifically visceral fat.
Okay, so somebody is just asking about that. So fat helps promote fat loss.
Yes.
Now, break that down for us, Dr. Nina, because that just
I know, right? It's crazy. So here's the kicker. You take a food. This is one thing we don't do. And I want you to think about this because everyone think about it, because I know you know what I'm talking about when I say it. When we think about a food, we say saturated fat is bad. we say, oh, cholesterol is bad. But because we get these headliners that change every month to tell us something is bad or carcinogenic, we say, oh, I will not because that food is bad. But if we were not to do that, we would know that one of the fat foods that's highest in saturated fat, which is egg, happens to be the food that houses more nutrients than any other food. So we're looking at this holistically. We're looking at a food and saying, yeah, it has some saturated fat. What does it do to my body holistically? Now, when I said fat, I said that for a reason. Different types of fat are housed in different types of foods. I'll use the easy one because I think everybody by now knows that avocado and olive oil might be good for you, right? That's what the last headline said, I'm sure.
Right.
It's true. It's true. And basically without getting too technical, think of those as really going into your body and helping bind fat so that it can be more efficiently used for energy. Now, ideally, we want to burn the fat that's in our body, right? So think of a monosaturated fat and a composition of phytonutrients, which is what I just talked about, really going in your visceral fat area, binding the fat, reducing the inflammation that's causing that disease process, because believe it or not, obesity is an inflammatory process. It's a low-grade inflammation. So it's really reducing all of these processes that are setting off a cascade of effects that lead not only to weight gain, but also disease. Now, you have these fats that are basically going in there and doing work. On the flip side, you have a trans fat. That is not the same. A trans fat is basically made from an unsaturated fat. It's synthesized chemically from an unsaturated fat. Trans fats have zero nutritional value. Yeah, they're fat, but they have zero. Remember, we're talking about totality of the ingredients, the phytonutrients, and the other materials and compounds that are in these foods, of which trans fats have none. So they go in there, and really the body perceives those things as a threat. And instead of preventing inflammation, that's swelling, it bolsters it and triggers it. So even if you're eating all the olive oil in the world, and someone is going to hear me when I say this, if you're frying chicken in it, it's not the same. Because you've introduced a process that counters the process that's helping you lose weight. Now, here's the beautiful thing. When you take those yummy monounsaturated fats and even the omega-3s, unsaturated fats that do all of that amazing work, guess what? When you're eating your vegetables, when you're eating your fruits, those particular fats help your body better absorb the phytonutrients housed in them. So when you get a fat-free dressing, guess what? You're not absorbing them. Isn't that crazy?
Right.
But fat-free dressings are a hot commodity.
Right. Anything fat-free is the thing that everybody's going for, but it's ultimately not helping you achieve the goal that you set out to achieve.
At all. Because we focus so much on calories this and know that. Or when is the last time you took a fat-free dressing and turned it around and saw that there was more sugar in it? Because you got to do something to make it taste good. So fat-free dressings usually have more sugar than full fat dressing. So you choose.
Wow. Okay. So I think you just blew the mind of everybody watching right now. Anybody watching because everything that's why I said the information you're giving us, Google tells us something different.
Google goes general with you. And the funny thing is we are not suffering from a lack of information. The information is there, right? It's always there. But everyone has an agenda with that information. Inflammation. With that information.
All pun intended.
Right. Everyone has an agenda. They'll say fiber is good for you. It does this. Buy these fiber supplements. You know what I'm saying? And there's always an agenda. So you're getting heavily skewed information. I tell you, it's the most frustrating thing.
Right. So how can we get more people to think holistically, like you've been saying, and to just want to eat counter to what we're seeing messaging wise every single day?
Well, step number one is to ignore the messaging.
All right.
You know what whenever I pull a client in for the first time, I tell them, when were you the happiest in your life?
Mm.
When were you not thinking about diets? When were you not thinking about food? A lot of times you would think about that, and sometimes it takes you to childhood.
Mm.
You'll think about childhood. Well, at least where I grew up, I don't know what's happening with these kids, my kids included, because there's no way I would have sat in the house and played a video game all day as a child. There's no way I would have done that. So I'll go back to my childhood and go ahead and age myself. I'll go back to my childhood and say, I often played outside most of the time.
Yep.
That means I moved most of the time. And I know that I would drink water out of a hose. I don't even know why I'm still alive. And that was plenty of water, right? And then I would snack and just eat when my stomach said eat.
When the ice cream truck came around, just got whatever you wanted to get.
I did. And usually at that time, my mom made me eat. So I didn't eat if it wasn't given to me to eat, period. And that's the time that I can say that weight was managed. I think I was pretty happy. My skin looked good. Youth is great on you. Where did we lose that? Think about that within the context of yourself. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. We need produce. You don't have to be vegan at all. You can have a holistic diet. I believe in all inclusivity, but there's something in here that says, you know what? There's a reason that produce section is so big in the grocery store. So this is what I tell people first, what I just said. When you think about healthy eating, when you think about getting better, start in the produce section. That is step number one. When it comes to eating, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out. Start in the produce section. That's step one. Step two, now let's go to color. Think about the rainbow. I know it sounds cliche, but it works. Think about the rainbow. Do you have something green? Do you have something red, orange, yellow, purple? Think about the rainbow. Now, that's step one. Do you have something? Step three, how many colors do you have in your cart? Eat some of that one thing every day. You see what I just did?
Eat a color every day.
All the colors every day. I personally, I don't count calories. I don't count anything, but I do count the rainbow. I do the rainbow. And honestly, I have actually stopped my eating for the day and said, I haven't eaten anything red, and I will go eat something red.
Wow.
That is counting foods. Now you don't even have to think about it.
You don't, because you're counting food, you're not counting calories, but you're getting the nutrients that
you're getting the nutrients.
So if you're in the produce section, what are you going for? What does your rainbow look like in your basket? Tell us.
What a wonderful question. Shameless plug. I have an article on this.
I didn't know that.
There's an article on that. Just so you can kind of refresh what I'm about to tell you, because I am going to tell you. Number one, green leafy vegetables is where I start first. Now, I know people are thinking lettuce. I'm that salad lady and all of that. That is not what I'm talking about. Green leafy vegetables are not just lettuce. They are also cruciferous vegetables. You don't probably haven't heard that name, but you've had it. Broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage. The crucifers are some of the most powerful of the vegetables. They contain cancer-fighting nutrients. They contain heart-healthy nutrients. So a combination, and kale is a crucifer. So if you like kale, it's both a crucifer and a leafy green as well. So start there. Step two, let's move on. We have our greens. We have plenty of greens. I always recommend loading up at least half of your plate with greens. But if you don't want to do that much, let's start small, at least a cup, right? Now you go with the beautiful peppers. Low energy if you're counting calories. Colors for days. You have reds, you have oranges, you have yellows, you have green. That's your pepper. I always go after pepper. Little note, I go through 16 bell peppers a week.
Ooh, hold on. You're
in my house.
You go to like
in my house.
Market.
Yes, I go to a farmer's market. So we go through about 16 peppers per week in my house. Because again, think about it, not just in putting it in a salad, not just in cooking it, even though there are many things you can do with it. You can dip them in things. Remember I said that about that fat. Dip your pepper in a little hummus. You got yourself a absorbing snack. You see what I'm saying? That's number two. I love cauliflower. I do. But I look at cauliflower because it's a white food. So think of it like this. The more vibrant the colors, the deeper the colors, the more of those phytonutrients that are in those foods.
The deeper the color, the more the
The
phytonutrients.
darker, yes. That's why bell peppers, you see that bright red, those are very, and the dark greens, not the iceberg lettuce, but the dark greens. So cauliflower is it's a good when it's non-starchy, but it's white. It's a crucifer, but it's still white. So as far as it you maximizing what you get out of it, it's really not as comparable to, say, a broccoli, but it makes a great grain substitute. So if you like mashed potatoes, now suddenly you have your cauliflower that can take away that need to make mashed potatoes, and now you can make mashed cauliflower.
And the cauliflower rice, that's also a very popular thing.
That's right, very popular. Now, we're also going to move on because I talked a lot about veggies. I talk about those because they're the most difficult. People tend to like fruits more than veggies. It's the most difficult to get people to eat. But do not leave your grocery store if you can tolerate it without an avocado or two. So that monounsaturated fat I talked about,
the fats.
It's full of it. So I make sure I get about 6 of those a week. I do need a avocado intervention because
are you gonna come and grocery shop with me? Because this
I've done, you would not believe some of the ththings clients have had me do with them.
Wow.
And it's just, I mean, literally, can you come clean my cabinets out?
Like, seriously.
I mean, but it's when you do it once, my goal, one of the reasons you say my rates are high, one of the reasons my rates are high is because I don't want to work with you forever. My goal is really, I'm not that person. I don't want to sit and count your steps and your repetitions.
Right.
I've done that. That was my formal life. What I want you to do is grasp this, and I want it to become part of you. And so we can do away with all this dieting stuff and really make it a lifestyle.
Yeah.
I want you to get excited about the produce section. I want you to go in there and smell it. Carrots. I'm sorry. I don't know how I could forget that. Carrots. As orange as you can be.
Yes.
I want you to go in there and you start snacking on a carrot while you're in there. Because it's so good. Okay, that's probably taking it too far.
A little bit, just a little bit. Ma'am, you can't really eat this right now.
But seriously, one of the things that's funny about this, Jumi, I hated vegetables growing up. Oh, I
don't think there's too many people that really loved it, right?
No. But guess what? Then I realized as I got older, okay, the only thing I didn't hate was collard greens with ham hocks. But when I got older, I realized that one of the reasons I hated vegetables so much is because my mom used to cook the hell out of them. I'm sorry, can I say hell?
You can, yes.
She used to cook. I mean, by the time that stuff is soggy and dripping, it's nasty.
Right.
The first time I tasted fresh vegetables, I ate raw okra for the first time and loved okra. Never would I eat the slimy stuff my mom would put in grains and stuff. But I ate that stuff raw and I said, wow, is this the same food? And what happens is over time, when you try different foods, you begin to acquire a taste. Please trust me when I say I'm not that person that grew up eating like this. Please trust me when I say that. This is something that's evolved. Yes, it's evolved. And really, when you think about it like that, if you're counting foods, if you are that person that's the gold star person who likes counting calories and checking things off your list, you can check them off your list. I ate something red, done. I ate something orange, done. And
so that's like keeping a food log, essentially.
It is, but you never have to count. All you're doing is thinking of colors. So think about it, because these things are, if you're counting calories, it still doesn't matter. Old school Weight Watchers or WW. Old school Weight Watchers used to call those 0-calorie foods for a reason, because they really don't do anything but help. No hindrance, and they're incredibly filling. Load up your body with those, and really there's not a lot of room to eat the other stuff. And really, food pairing is everything. I think we talked about that before.
A little bit, yeah. Can you talk a little bit about what that food pairing means? I think that that was such a critical thing that a lot of people had never heard before. But the way you broke it down was so helpful. So I definitely want you to touch on that again.
Well, it relates to this. So I just told you to go to that produce section, right? And get all of this yummy stuff. Well, again, as I said with the dressing, if you think about, you got all this yummy stuff with all these phytonutrients in it. Remember, the more color, the more phytonutrients. And then you go put a fat-free dressing on it. It's not to say that they're bad now,
Right.
but why? So when you're thinking about food from a functional standpoint, think about what can I eat with this to make it better?
Mm.
It's like an outfit. Think
How
about an
can you
outfit.
enhance it?
You know,
Yes. What is the
what
jewelry?
shoes and jewelry am I going to put
Mhm.
on to go with this dress? You know, you think about food like that. So I'm going to tell you when I have a steak, because people love to hear that I eat steak. Love myself a
Avid
good
lady
ribeye.
eats steak.
I love myself a good ribeye from time to time. But when I eat a ribeye with that saturated fat and everything, everybody begin, because that stuff, ribeye, take away everything, you get yourself a high quality cut of grass-fed meat. And now you got yourself a whole lot of B vitamins, a whole lot of quality protein
Mm.
to go along with that saturated fat. And what people don't realize is these foods also have unsaturated fats, but they never talk about those. You
Mhm.
never hear people talk about the fact that all foods have both. It's just a matter of what has, a little bit more of something else.
Mhm.
Now, any potentially toxifying components of red meat are generally reduced when we don't cook it to death, which
Mhm.
is something that a lot of people are guilty of.
Yeah. Yeah.
When we eat it in sizable portions, which a lot of people are guilty of. And when we don't pair it with the right foods. When I say steak,
Three strikes,
people think
basically.
potatoes. Right. When I say steak, people say potatoes. It's kind of like you just do. Well, when is the last time you got a steak and just paired it with a bunch of veggies and no starch?
Like never.
Like it's just not a common practice.
Nothing.
When
Yeah.
I have a steak, my husband always laughs because I pair it with broccoli and spinach, and and it's like, oh, who? It just seems so green. But that pairing, and I'm not saying that I don't put it with a baked potato or something from time to time, and it's usually like this little when I do it.
Right.
But when you pair it with greens, it helps the actually the steak, the fat functions the same way on the greens as a fat would, right? So it's
Mhm.
going to help
Mhm.
you better absorb. And the chlorophyll within the greens actually helps detoxify any potentially de- any potential toxifying components of the meat. So
Oh,
you have the
hold on. You got
chlorophyll
to
going
say that
up
again.
into the meat.
So
Yes,
the greens, yeah.
yes. So
You go for it.
when you pair the meat with the greens, that fat in that meat is going to help your body absorb those greens,
Yeah.
and that chlorophyll in those greens is going to help detoxify any potentially toxifying
Mm.
components of the meat.
Mm.
Perfect pair.
Perfect pair. So everybody
And
watching and listening, you see that like you can eat what you want. You just gotta, like Dr. Nina's saying,
got to
pair it with
pair
the
it.
right thing.
And really, when you think about it with fruits. I always say never eat a fruit by itself. Why?
Mhm.
Because fruit is sugar.
It's very
It is.
sugary.
And the body doesn't say, oh, that's natural sugar, in spite of what some of these smoothie spots want you to think. No, oh, it's natural sugar. No, it's sugar, sugar. And it's going to have the same effect on your body. Now, it has some
Mhm.
fiber to slow it down a little bit, but at the end of the day, if you eat a fruit smoothie with fruit and nothing else, that thing is going to send your blood sugars going up so high. And I had a client before was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I just have so much energy. I said, because you had a peach, pineapple, grape, strawberry smoothie,
With a
you
little bit
know?
of ginger.
Right. It's bad. So what I always say with the smoothie, your smoothie should have a protein in it. You should have a grain in it or some vegetable in it. And you
Mhm.
should have a fiber in it besides just the fruit in it and a fat.
So walk us through your smoothie recipe that we should try tomorrow
Ah,
morning.
try this one. I like to
All
call it
right.
my purple cookie.
Uh-oh. What is in this smoothie, Dr. Nina?
So this is a full course meal.
Okay.
Now, before
Yeah,
let
how
me
many
preface.
well, not calories, but
Let me.
go. Yeah.
I'm not talking about calories.
No,
I
we're not
told you
talking
not
about that.
doing
See,
that
I
up in
gotta
here.
check myself too. I gotta
I
check
told
myself.
you not doing that up in here. Now, in advance, I'll say this. This is for an all-inclusive eater because the keto police and the paleo police and all the different dieting forms police will say, no, no, no. If you don't want it, eliminate it and it'll still
Mhm.
be good.
Mhm.
So let's start with our grain or quality grain, which can be a whole grain oatmeal, a real oatmeal. I
Okay.
don't mean the stuff that's powdery and has extra things in it, but whole oats. You could
Okay.
throw a whole oat in there as a grain if you wish. a quarter of a cup, a quarter of a cup. You see, we're talking servings here. A half of a banana, half of a banana, not a whole banana. A fourth a cup of berries, just a fourth a cup of your favorite berries, strawberries, blueberries, whatever you like. A half a cup of high quality strain yogurt. What we know is Greek yogurt. Ultra strain is perfect. A handful or two or three or however many that you want of spinach or kale. Go crazy with that. And a tablespoon of your favorite nut or seed butter.
So like a sunflower butter? Like if you're allergic to nuts?
It could be a sunflower butter. It can be a peanut butter. If you like peanut butter, it can be an almond butter. It can be a cashew butter, walnut butter, almond butter. Pick your butter. And then I want you to take that cinnamon and just go crazy. Just take it and go crazy. And that's it. That's it.
And that's a smoothie.
And that's a smoothie. Now, where was the fruit? I had it in there, but I had essentially a half a serving and a half a serving. I had one serving of fruit. When you taste that thing, just when you taste that thing, just send me a message. Wow. Because what you just did. Now, I will be honest with you. People who have a bit of a sugar addiction will say it's not sweet enough.
What about adding honey then for that?
I was going to say that. You took the words right out of my mouth. You could add a little drizzle of honey, but as time goes by, because honey is a good, honey actually does, believe it or not, even though it has sugar, functions different. I know I just contradicted myself. Honey is not sugar, it's different.
It's different.
Honey really does function different because if you get yourself a raw quality honey, there are actually phytonutrients in that honey that help curb hunger. Yes. So even though it's a sugar, it absorbs a little bit slower. And really, that's what I want the take-home message to be with that pairing of fruit, especially. There is nothing wrong with the fruit. Just pair it with something.
Yeah. So does it spike you?
Exactly. And the proteins and fats are ideal. So if you think about it, I want to take you back to where we started. Think about how our parents did everything. They were pretty smart. Beans and rice. That was a perfect combo. If you're a vegan, that gives you a whole protein. Beans and rice.
Right.
Apples and peanut butter. Makes sense, right? I'm not going to lie. Even peanut butter and jelly. It made sense. It was a little bit of a fruit. My grandmother made her own jelly. So it was a little bit of fruit, some nut butter, and a whole grain bread. Okay, usually it wasn't a whole grain bread. It's like Wonder Bread, but you know what I'm saying. And so if you think about it that way, a lot of the pairings that we had growing up were ideal pairings. Start there.
And so is that the way to start getting young kids to start enjoying their vegetables? Because there's a conversation going on right now in the comment section where it's like, what about kids? Like, do your kids eat vegetables like you, or are they similar?
They? I have to give you all a shameless. This is not a plug. This is the truth. I have a salad on that salaдлady.com that I call the ultimate salad bowl. It is kid crack.
What is it, Dr. Nina?
I'm going to tell you the ingredients in it.
Okay.
Broccoli, cauliflower, red apples, green apples, little drizzle of craisins, every color pepper, red, yellow, orange, green. Did I miss one? Oh, red onion. That's the base. Wow. Now, that doesn't sound like something a kid would eat.
No. That doesn't sound like something an adult would eat.
This is the trick. So in addition to enjoying these foods, you have to think about yourself. You have to think about the textures you like, about the things you normally like. One of the things I've learned from dealing with people, when I tell you this salad is a heavily requested item, one time I made a cobbler for someone's party and they said, "Where's the salad?" That's how much this salad is requested.
Wow.
I cut everything in bite-sized pieces. So what it becomes is a snack. And so you eat on it, and that combination of different flavors, I also put avocado in it. That combination of different flavors in there is a perfect pair. If you don't like the taste of vegetables, the apples help mask that taste.
Mm.
If you don't like the taste of a broccoli, that avocado creamy buttery texture comes in there and cancels it out. So
This
you
is
put
all
all these foods together. You put
Yeah.
all these foods together, and suddenly, I'm telling you, the first time I gave it to my son, he was like, "Don't put any avocado in it, and don't put any of this in it, and don't." And I put everything in it. I made sure the avocado was nice and firm, so it wasn't too,
Mm-hmm.
And when I tell you he ate that, but he can tell when I put a ripe avocado in it in a
Right.
second, but I make sure that it's right where it needs to be. And when I tell you, Jumi, the kids request it. Now, you want to hear a cute story? That's
Yes.
how I got the name That Salad Lady.
Tell us, Dr.
Kids.
Nina.
The kids would come over and say, "Are we going to that salad lady's house?" No lie. The kids call me That Salad Lady. Sometimes the kids come over your house and they don't remember your name. They
Right. They be
ask their
like,
parents,
that.
"What, you going to that salad lady's house? Is she gonna make that salad?" And it stuck. I kid you not. The kids gave me the name.
Wow.
Folks, the kids gave me the name because I believe in making salads that everyone likes.
So
Man, kids, veggie haters.
what about veggie haters? Guilty.
Yes. Yes.
What about dressing? There's a question. Do you put dressing in your salad?
Yes, I do. I actually, you know what I'm about to say. We make dressings over at That Salad Lady.
I'm
There are
sure you
recipes.
do.
There are recipes for homemade dressings.
Yes.
Yes. There are recipes for homemade dressings. That particular salad that I talked about, it actually tastes pretty good alone, but I make plenty of dressing dressing recipes within salad recipes, and we're growing. That saladlady.com has been up since May. And we got so much stuff in there that people like. I actually have a honey mustard dressing in there that is that high protein honey mustard dressing. High protein.
What if you want to get the dressings from the store? You're not that type of person.
Great question.
Make it.
Great question. What I encourage people to do when you're getting dressings from the store, pay attention to those ingredients. You want to see oils first.
Okay.
You want to see quality ingredients first. So if you see an olive oil, if you see a sesame oil, you want to see oils first. Some have canola oil. It's debatable, but you definitely want to see an oil first in those dressings because that signifies that they actually made the dressing with mostly oil. And you'll see what I mean when you start turning those bottles around. You also want to make sure that there's really no more than 5 to 10 ingredients in it. That's your challenge right there.
Yeah.
And when all else fails, folks, take some avocado. I said avocado. Or it could be avocado oil too, but an olive oil with some lemon juice and a little honey and salt and pepper to taste. And you have yourself a well-rounded dressing that can really go with anything.
There you go. A simple at-home dressing.
That's right. And it goes with anything. And I even go so far as to say, if you see a fruit dressing you like, you can take that same base that I just gave you and say, "Oh, I think I want a raspberry dressing," throw it in there. "Oh, I think I want a blueberry dressing," throw it in there. That olive oil, and really, even if it's not a lemon juice, you can use an apple cider vinegar. What you need in a good dressing is a good oil, an acid, and really seasoning of some sort.
Yes.
And if you like the sweet, which many of us do, I love a little honey in my dressing. Put a drizzle of honey. Just don't overdo it. And remember that this is a big one that I want you to really take home. Dressings are meant to really be a condiment, not drown salad.
It's not
meant to be that way. So if you can see how far a tablespoon or two goes, but we're so quick to kind of just go crazy with it. If you can see how far a tablespoon or two goes, especially with the dressing like the one I described, the taste is immaculate. And what I really want to emphasize is you want to be able to taste those vegetables.
Yeah.
You want the dressing to be your necklace or your earrings for that outfit.
Yes.
You want to think
Can you repeat that base again? It was olive oil, lime juice, honey.
You can use the olive oil. Lime juice is good too. You said lime. I said lemon.
You said lemon.
Olive oil. It's okay.
Okay.
You can use an olive oil. And I don't want to just say lemon, but really any acid. If you go to your local grocery store, look in the aisle where the vinegar is. You have balsamic vinegar, red wine vinegar. Yeah. There are so many vinegars there that you really can make your own vinaigrette. All you need to make a good vinaigrette is a good oil and a vinegar and honey, if you want it sweet, and some
Mhm.
seasonings, and play with those and shake it up in a mason jar.
Shake that thing up and get ready to eat.
When you do this, I'm telling you, I have people who I've told that they go and kind of just rate the seasonings and try oregano, see how you like that. Try a little parsley, play around. What I always say is explore. The worst thing that can happen is you say, I don't like it. But if
Mhm.
you'll never know until you try. And again, if you're using those as condiments and really something as a more of a flavor enhancer,
Right.
you'll see the difference when it comes to eating. So please get yourself a mason jar and a big fat bottle of olive oil and your favorite vinegar, extra virgin olive oil it is, and your
Right.
favorite vinegar and some honey and whatever else you want to use as far as seasonings to garnish it. And you have yourselves homemade oil, and you don't have to worry about turning around any bottles and becoming a chemist.
You just right, basically, because that's what you just told us how
Yes,
to become a chemist when it comes to making
yes,
food. So I don't want
exactly.
us to end this conversation without us talking about exercise because it's about
Ah, of course.
maintaining a healthy weight, and it's not just about diet; it's
Yes,
also about exercise. So
yes.
how can we determine the level of exercise that we need for our respective goals, whether it's losing a certain amount of pounds, gaining a certain amount of weight? Tell us about
Hmm. So I will start by saying this. Any exercise that you will perform is good exercise.
any
If you
exercise.
do not want to run, don't. It's not the only way. Trust me,
Right.
I've ran for over 20 years and I have an arthritic knee now.
Mm.
It is not the only way to do it. If you like to cycle, go crazy. What I just encourage people to do is switch it up from time to time so you don't get bored. When it comes to weight loss, you can do sustained exercise. You can do a more interval form of training. If you're into HIIT, if you're into riding on a Peloton, do what works for you. I honestly have to say, Jumi, exercise is really the easy part in this equation, especially
Mm.
when we're talking about most people. The average person is not a bodybuilder trying to count macros and
Okay.
micros for a certain. Average person just wants to look good and lose some weight or
Right.
maintain it. So
Mhm.
I will emphasize that weight training, I know you will not believe me when I say this, but weight training is the key to weight loss, weight maintenance, and weight gain. All three.
What do you say though to women? Because I know it's a thing. I mean, I have a background in exercise
Mm-hmm.
physiology as well, so I'm very aware of the fact that you put on muscle when you
Yes.
weight train, and many women
Yes.
think that. What do you
Yes.
say to women who are just like, I don't want to look bulky. I don't want to bulk up when it comes to lifting weights.
You got to do a whole lot of something to look bulky. If I told you that I bench press as much as my husband almost, would you believe me?
No.
Yes. So I don't check now, not all the way up there with them, but I can hang. And it's one of those things, whereas there is so much extra that has to go into weightlifting for you to actually get to the point that you're bulking up. Now, some women tend to bulk up faster than
That's
others. I do agree with that. When you get to that point, think about repetition. The higher your repetitions go, generally, the smaller you'll stay. Look at high repetition training as almost being like cardio with some
Mhm.
weight. If you could get to the point where you're doing 12 to 20 repetitions of something, you're not really going to experience any significant bulk and may actually experience even more enhanced weight loss. Another
Mhm.
thing I want to emphasize is if your weights are not heavier than your purse, I guarantee you're not going to bulk up.
That is facts on facts because my
Yes.
purse, yeah, nope, you're right.
Yes,
You're
I
right.
guarantee, because what you have to do to really experience significant bulk is you have to really go beyond the
Beyond your
general confines of what you do. Like if
yeah.
you have a very active job where you're lifting things and moving things, you have to go a little bit past that to call it a workout. Whereas if you're someone who sits at a desk all day, well, that's going to be a different type of workout for you.
Mhm.
What I really want to emphasize when it comes to weight training, because again, it's really cardio is the easy part. You want to make sure you're working all of your major muscle groups. Whenever we think about weightlifting, somebody always does this. That's not, the body doesn't work like that. You
Right.
have to work muscles specific to what you're doing. So if you want to work biceps, you have to work biceps. If you want to work legs, you have to work legs. So
Mhm.
when you think about it, you want to do exercises, at least 8, that work your lower body, your arms, your chest, your back. We're getting past weight loss here. This is the stuff that's going to keep you functional as you
Mm.
age. Because
Ooh.
I know a lot of us are thinking about aging right now, but broke muscles can't do cardio. Look at it like that.
Wait, say it again. Broke
I should
muscle
say
can. What?
broken bones and strained muscles can't do
Can't
cardio.
do cardio.
So look at weight training as being a way, if nothing else, even if you do the bare minimum, to increase the efficiency with which you move.
Your
And
body.
while you can get fit at any age, it's a whole lot easier if you start tomorrow or today.
So what about people that might be experiencing some mobility issues,
Yes.
but they want to get into training in order to maintain this healthy weight that they've gotten to?
I'm going to put my professional hat on and say, before you attempt any weight training regimen, be sure to talk with your physician to make sure that working out is okay for you. That's number one. And
Right.
once you figure that out, I encourage you, especially if you're not familiar with weightlifting, I encourage you, if you belong to a gym, go to the gym and request your orientation. They are required to do it. I've managed gyms. They are required to do it free of cost, because the goal is for your people, your patrons, not to get injured. So you are entitled to a no cost orientation at any gym you visit. They're going to try to sell you personal training. You can say no, but you are entitled to have a little orientation of the exercises before you start. And oh my God, go to YouTube University.
Yeah.
When I tell you, it's you can look up bicep curl, take your pick. You want to see a woman doing it, pick that video. You want to see a man doing it, pick that video.
Right.
There are so many resources out here. If you just can think about what I said, exercises for back, exercises for chest, exercises for arms, and go through all of those muscle groups. Make sure you're doing a little something versus nothing, and you'll experience benefits, not just with weight loss, but also, again, functional benefits.
Yeah.
Oh, did I mention the arms and stuff? Like how good it looks when you're toned? All that too. Those Michelle Obama arms didn't come from cardio.
They didn't come from anything. They didn't just come out of nowhere.
No, they didn't come, and it didn't come from cardio. You seen her do push-ups. It came from that stuff.
Right. It's about being physically active, which is why she is such a proponent for physical activity.
Yes. And I really, above all, I want to say this, like, one thing I have to emphasize, that I cannot emphasize it enough. Your cardio session is wonderful. It is wonderful, whether it's 30 minutes or 60 minutes. But if you sit down for the rest of the day, it's really kind of meaningless. We are built to move. And believe it or not, because this is a blackdoctor.org thing, I have to say, a lot of these diseases that affect us are not a result of not exercising per se. It's a result of not moving, period. So if you think about it, if you find yourself sitting down for more than an hour at a time, you got to think about that. And I encourage you, let's say you don't have time to exercise. Every 55th minute of every hour that you're awake, did you get that?
Yep, 55th minute of every hour.
Get up and do something for 5 minutes. Even if you're at work. If your work doesn't accept it, go to HR. They don't want you sick. They need to give you your wellness break.
Let them know. So what do you say to people who are like, okay, I'm on a new wellness journey and I want to improve my diet. I want to improve my physical activity levels, but I want to do it all at the same time. Do you encourage that, or do you say focus on one first and then move on to the next one?
We are so all or nothing when it comes to thinking. I say start with baby steps with both. You just learned something today. You learned about the rainbow. You don't have to plan this. You don't have to wait till the first of the month or Monday or Sunday. You can go to the grocery store next time you go to the grocery store, and you can pick out something yellow and something red and something orange. Likewise, you can park your car very far back when you go to that grocery store, instead of trying to get a parking spot in the front and walk up there to that grocery store.
It's summertime happening. That's kind of hot.
But suddenly you just moved for an extra 4 to 5 minutes and you just got the food. So there you go. You just started today.
That's true. So you can do a little bit together and baby steps and progress. And in a month, you'll see you're doing things with ease.
If you have not been doing it and you do that, all of a sudden, when I tell you, Jumi, the results are magnificent. I hate it because the issue is when you've been training for a long time, it's harder. But when you're just getting up there and starting something, those results are beautiful.
What ideas do you have for making strength training and just getting into this mode fun? How can people encourage themselves and motivate themselves?
You have to really find what I call your mojo. Everyone has a different mojo. I know mine is music.
Okay.
I mean, I know I have playlists that my playlist for my workouts, my son is like, what?
It's what like do you listen to when you're working out?
I listen to heavy metal. I listen to old school soul music. Yes. It just depends on what it is. And honestly, when it comes to weightlifting, that music sounds different than music that's performed when I'm doing cardio. It just, find your mojo, find the activity you like. It may take some experimentation. I used to teach a power weightlifting class years ago, and it was a group fitness atmosphere. And a lot of the people who were in that class, that was their mojo, being social. So they said, I can't do this when I'm by myself. Yeah. But when I'm with these 30 other people and it's like, it's not the blind leading the blind. And I know that if I'm doing it with you, I got in all those muscle groups. So be encouraged, jump in a class if that sort of thing works for you. Take a power weightlifting class will give you a full body workout. Usually you may see some split in lower body, upper body. Don't be intimidated to try it. You may find motivation there. And another thing is to also know that weights, hard stuff is not necessarily the only resistance that you have to train with. You go to a lot of these boot camp and HIIT classes, you're getting resisted workouts when you go to these. So look into those. Really, it's about finding what works for you. I think the hardest thing with exercise is that people say, what do you think I should do? I know what I do. And honestly, it's the problem with a lot of so-called fitness experts out here now. They're giving you their workouts.
There's a ton of them. There's so many.
They're giving you their workouts. Exactly. And their workout is not your workout. Now, if it just so happens that you see their workout and you want to do that workout, that's different. But if someone says this is the key to doing this, and this is what you have to do, that's bull. Yeah. The key to working out is doing what you want to do. Right. And just like when you go to a store and try on a dress, you don't just go buy clothes and take them home. Well, some of us do that. I mean, some people do that because I don't like trying stuff on sometimes. But right. Sometimes some people could do it, but you don't really go. I'll say shoes. You don't go and just say, I'm going to grab all these shoes and just take them home.
Exactly. No.
That's how working out is. You may have to sit in the shoe store and try on some different shoes, to see what works for you.
That's very true. Because I will say I did a cardio kickboxing class last week and I was like, oh, this is going to be so much fun.
Yes.
We're not going to do it again because I just didn't like the way I felt after.
And you know what? There is absolutely, that's how I feel about Zumba. I just don't get it.
You don't like it?
I don't get it. And the funny thing is, because I'm a group fitness instructor, people just assume, I have people, I've taken a Zumba class and they scoot towards me. Like, I know if I stand next to her, I'm like, don't stand next to me. This would be the worst Zumba experience you've ever had. I have not completed a full Zumba class. I always walk out. And there's no shame in walking out.
I'm the one in the back just like this, not paying attention to the moves anymore.
Look, and I have seen, when I tell you, I have been outdone by some grandmothers. They in there with the bells on and shimmying. I'm like, woo, this is great. I just can't get with it. I just can't.
So you got to find what works for you.
You have to find what
you got to find it. You got to find it. Well, Thank you so much for dropping all of this information. Where can people find you online? I know you have the Salad Lady brand. What is the website? Where can people follow you and all of the information that you have going?
The beautiful thing is everything is essentially that Salad Lady, except for Instagram, which is that.salad.lady. But if you look me up, I'm the one that's not following 5 people.
Right.
And you'll see my picture there. So, and that's there. And everything else really is at that Salad Lady. Please be sure to check out that saladlady.com. It's not just recipes, and don't let the salad umbrella fool you. We are not just doing lettuce over there. I told Jumi the kind of stuff we're doing. We're not just doing lettuce over there. We have a lot of great stuff, a healthy living blog, and we're adding resources all the time. Be sure, this is a new one. Check me out on TikTok at that Salad Lady, because the funny thing there, it's like my alter ego. So you'll see a whole new Nina come out.
All right.
And you'll hear some of my music.
Some of your heavy metal. Some
good stuff. So definitely check me out on the social media channels, because again, I have fun on those. I
believe
it on for now, but I have fun.
Before we go, somebody did have a question about swimming. Is that a good full body workout?
Swimming is an excellent full body workout. I just want to emphasize one thing. If you're swimming, you definitely want to engage in resisted exercise, because swimming is not a weight bearing exercise. So something like walking, you're going to get that weight bearing. Jogging, anything that forces you to kind of go against gravity, you're going to get that weight bearing. And that's not going to really happen with swimming. So it's wonderful cardio, but not the best form if you want to get that weight bearing in there. So definitely make sure you're doing weights to complement your swimming.
Amazing advice. Well, thank you so much again, Dr. Nina. Thank you to everybody watching and listening today. If you're watching or listening to the replay, I hope you enjoyed today's episode and got a lot out of it. I know that I did. I'm going to watch this again before I go to my grocery store again. Make sure I get all the things that Dr. Nina was saying. You know, she really emphasized that maintaining a healthy weight doesn't have to be complicated. You know, you can enjoy it. You can eat what you want to eat, and it doesn't have to be stressful. You just have to be strategic about it. And she's giving us a strategy today. So make sure that you have liked this episode. Make sure you shared it with your networks. Don't keep all this information to yourself. We all want our communities to be healthy and happy when it comes to weight. So thank you all again for tuning in, and I will see you again when Jump In with Jumi returns. Bye, everyone.
Bye.